Good afternoon, everyone. Today is December 7th, 1941. Earlier this morning, on the shores of Hawaii, the American naval base, Pearl Harbor, was attacked by Japanese aerial forces. The U.S. placed an embargo on Japan recently, which didn't allow them to purchase oil or scrap metal. This is believed to be the reason for the Japanese attack. The nation was expecting to be attacked in the Philippines or British Malaya, and had pulled most of their Pacific fleet. Japanese forces were able to hide from radar by flying behind the country using the mountains to hide. Unprepared, the American ships and planes were quickly destroyed. There were two waves of attacks today. After the first wave, 5 battleships and 5 airfields of planes were destroyed. By the end of the attack, 8 battleships, 3 cruisers, 4 ships, 188 airplanes, and 2,400 American soldiers have lost their lives today. The Japanese took out boats with torpedoes, and the planes were lined up wing to wing, which were easily targets. Miraculously, 2 American aircraft carriers were at sea and expected to survive. The president is expected to address the nation tomorrow. This truly will be a day that will live in infamy.
Good evening, America. Today is June 4th of 1942. Today, the island of Midway was attacked by Japanese forces. It is believed that this was an attempt to destroy as much of the American fleet that Japan could following Doolittle's raid. General Yamamoto ordered the attack, but this message was intercepted and deciphered by American codebreakers. Admiral Nimitz ordered American carriers to position themselves just off the coast of Midway. When Japanese forces sent planes in on the first wave, 38 were destroyed by American anti-craft guns. As Japan was preparing for their second wave, Nimitz sent planes from our carriers to attack Japanese carriers that had planes, fuel, and oil exposed on deck. 1 carrier was sunk and 3 were barely afloat. Yamamoto fled. Japanese forces lost 4 carriers and an estimated 200 to 300 planes. This was a major win for America. Good night.
Hello, America. I'm Hannah Murphy from HARH, addressing you on February 3rd, 1943. The time is 7:01 a.m. In June of 1941, then again in the summer of 1942, German forces invaded the Soviet Union and took an offensive on the city of Stalingrad. Adolf Hitler was trying to acquire the oil fields that are in the USSR. After months of fighting and turmoil, yesterday, February 2nd, 1943, Germany surrendered. After 1,100,000 casualties for the USSR, General Zhukov has come out on top. This victory came from a counteroffensive by the Soviets, which cut off German supplies. The lack of supplies and harshness of the Soviet winter forced the Germans to surrender.
Hey, pretty lady, you want to get out of this rain and go get a soda pop with me?
Well, of course I would. Actually, have you purchased a war bond?
I have not yet.
Hey girl, I purchased a war bond.
Sorry, Jeff, I'm getting soda pop with this young man.
Buy war bonds today.
Hi, I'm Franklin Roosevelt. Herbert Hoover might have torn this country apart, but I fixed it using only Scotch tape. Wait. Scotch tape!
And we're back. Good morning. The date today is May 8th of the year 1943. In July of last year, Hitler and his army tried to capture the Egyptian city of El Alamein in order to seize the Suez Canal as well as Egyptian oil fields. While Germany's General Rommel attempted to push General Montgomery's British army out of Egypt, the Axis powers experienced major issues with their supply lines. This allowed General Montgomery and his army to push General Rommel towards Libya, where American troops were waiting to use their reinforcements and air power to trap Rommel from the east. General Rommel's army finally surrendered yesterday, resulting in Allied victory.
Yesterday, March 14th, 1945, Admiral Nimitz declared victory at Iwoju. On February 19th, after 70 days of bombarding the island with shells and bombs from U.S. ships, the 4th and 5th Marine Divisions landed onto the island. After getting onto the island, Japanese forces, led by their general, Kurabashi, fired on Marines from caves they had dug into the mountain. Flamethrowers were then brought in to burn out the hidden Japanese. The capture of this island is considered to be very critical to the American plan of island hopping. Eventually, they intend to bomb Japan with this plan. By the end of this battle, however, there were 6,000 Americans killed and around 18,000 are injured. There are still some Japanese on the island, however they are expected to be defeated soon.
Yesterday, June 6th, American, British, and Canadian forces stormed the beaches of Normandy. This came as a result of the plea from Stalin to move the war to the west. Dwight Eisenhower led Allied forces. American and British paratroopers jumped behind enemy lines just after midnight to secure bridges and roads critical for Allied advancement into French countrysides. This attack was made possible because of a previous fake radio command to a fake army to storm a separate French beach, promoting Hitler to station his elite troops 150 miles north of Normandy. After the paratroopers, 2,000 Allied bombers began bombing German lines. At dawn, 4,400 ships came up on the beaches of Normandy. German leaders, convinced that this was not a real attack, did not commit all their forces to defend this. More than 200,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches. The continuation of this effort will hopefully lead to France's liberation.